months already.
I missed you. I couldn't even recognize your faces.
Oh, really? Emilia? Seriously?
But it seems like we are in the same wavelength because all of us are wearing black
Black.
tonight.
Oh,
Yeah.
show the audience your T-shirt, please.
Yes.
Woo!
Oh,
My
I'm so jealous.
official Despise Girls t-shirt. And then at the back it says,
Feminist
Yes.
bulldozer. I love it. I've been seeing you like your photos in the rally with that T-shirt. I'm so jealous, right? I
We missed you, Rina.
know, I know, I know, I know.
yeah, but there will be a time when we all get to wear the shirt together at the same time.
This should have been the opportunity, and we didn't do it.
Oh well, a lot of things have happened, no, in the 2 months that we were off the air, but certainly not really, out of consciousness because we've been doing so many things in all of this time that we failed to do an episode. So, for
Yep.
instance, Emilia and I got to see each other face to face last June.
What was that? Like the face to face is last June for the intersessional, right? UNF Triple C or G7?
No, it was the intersessional in Bonn for climate change. Countries gathered to discuss the technical documents that will be presented at the climate change COP in November in Egypt. So it was 2 weeks of very hard work. I was only 1 week because the previous week I was actually also in Brussels for the Eurodance conference, which was amazing. I also have to tell you all about it. And then I went to Bonn, and that's where I met Tete on the second
Mhm.
week. But Tete had been there for the 2 full weeks, right, Tete?
Yes, I was in Bonn for the full 2 weeks, but like Emilia, I was also in Stockholm, Sweden
It's
the
true.
week before that to be part of the Stockholm Plus 50 activities. No, don't ask me about it. I think it was just one huge waste of time. No,
And
because it was
money?
not.
We want to ask you about it.
Oh my gosh. No, Stockholm Plus 50 was supposed to be a big moment. Now,
Yeah.
commemorating the 50 years since the 1972 Stockholm Declaration on the Environment, where governments committed this and committed that. So they met again in Stockholm to see, how the world is now, 50 years since they made the commitment to try and make it better. But like I said, I felt it was such a huge waste of time because you hear all of those nice sounding pronouncements again. There was even a declaration, but it only affirms what has already been said long ago, but no new promises, no,
But
no new commitments, and no new actions.
that's the problem with summits, right? That they get together, multi-stakeholder processes, they just have big declarations, waste of time, there's no binding commitment, and the most important thing, there's no negotiated document. So in the end, there is no actionable process. And Stockholm, what they were calling us to meetings for 2 years, right? So it was a
Yep.
huge waste of our time, a huge waste of money, because they held also thematic meetings throughout the previous year. So it's such a disappointment.
Yeah. And then
Although
like
there was something good from Stockholm that I bring with me, but it's sadly not in the official UN space. No, because there were also some civil society and social movement actions and activities in Stockholm, and I think one of the more important ones was about this fossil fuel non-proliferation treaty
Hmm.
mm,
that civil society, academia,
Yeah.
and some governments are also trying to push forward a
Yeah.
non-proliferation treaty on fossil fuels, and I think it's gaining ground. So that's one good thing I take away from Stockholm, but that was not in the official UN,
No,
not in the
no,
official UN meeting.
that's happening
So,
for a while. That's been happening
mhm.
for a while.
So there was a meeting during that time, you're saying, for the treaty, right? The discussion with
Yes.
the society,
Mm.
I see.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
You know,
good.
Yeah.
for Stockholm plus 50, I was actually, what they are trying to do is not only the global level process, they also have the Asia Pacific regional process for that. And then
I was
also
in
they
the
have,
last region as well.
yeah. And then they also
I
have the
attended the
national
Asia
level
Pacific
one, right?
one.
Yes, yes, yes. And then also there's a national level one, yeah. And then we attended. For me, I attended the regional one with Asia Pacific, and then my friend Patricia from APWLD attended the national level consultation for Thailand, right? So it was just like, I don't know, just like what you said, Amelia, is like summit is more like what? Like a talk show, like a performance,
Mm-hmm.
like everything was like so orchestrated, and then there's a moderator that looks very, chic, and then, everything is just, I think there's not meaningful, although in my session, I think there are some good speakers, that is actually talking about indigenous women's, and then the situation that they have. But the question is, where is it going, and then in the national level, because based from what I heard is that really, like, the one that got invited, mostly the private sector,
Yeah.
there's all really grassroots local communities. If you want to do something on national level, then it's actually the value add, right? You can actually bring local communities and grassroots women, and all that coming together, but apparently not, right? So it's
That's it.
a little bit sad.
Please tell the audience what Stockholm plus 50 means, because the three of us just launched
Oh
into
yeah.
criticizing and saying it's useless, but none of us
No, I actually
explained.
started with a brief intro of what
Yeah.
Stockholm Plus 50 is. Like in 1972, there was this big UN meeting in Stockholm, Sweden, to talk about environment and development. So that was a big meeting that led to some commitments from governments to take the environment considerations in their development actions. So fast forward 50 years later, I think Stockholm Plus 50 was organized more out of nostalgia. No, because even Swedish civil society, they were really critical about how their government organized the meeting, and then they even said that, oh, because Sweden has lots of money, it can host anything, it can provide the space, especially since people have not been coming to face meetings because of the pandemic. So this would have been a good moment for networking. So that's coming from Swedish civil society. The value of that big meeting where thousands of people came was really just for networking and saying, "Hi, I missed you."
No, but it's ridiculous. We don't need networking in the face of the environmental emergency, right? It's really so dire. We need real action, and we need regulation for the private sector, for the fossil fuels companies. So it's a disappointment. Just wanted to tap on one of the things that Rina said, because in the Asia Pacific there was no opening for local communities. In the LAC region, they invited religious organizations to be in the panels, and they
I
said, no, this is why we need to have a political presence, because we're promoting bills at the local congresses to plant trees. And I was like, no, we are promoting secular states, and you are entitled to do whatever political work on your citizens' capacity, but we will not allow churches to have a political personality, because we've seen what you have done with women's rights and community rights and indigenous people's rights. So that's not happening. And the other thing is that they invited the head of banks to be panelists and to guide the conversation, so that the outcome would reflect what the bankers were saying. And of course, they were saying, oh, we need more climate finance too. Climate finance should go through our banks so that we distribute it through loans, whatever. It's
Oh
like,
wow.
and And that was the UN organizing and inviting these peoples as the main speakers for the LAC region, so that the outcome, of course, would be biased towards those messages from the start. I was fuming. I was like, this is biased. We will not recognize this document, whatever. I was just, being a feminist bulldozer. And luckily, I had, of course, the support of the LAC civil society, because they're so progressive. So the program was more regressive and more in tune, in alignment with the multi-stakeholders bullshit that the UN is selling. But the people really wanted to have a different conversation. And I think that's also what happened in the Asia meeting. So
Yes,
it's
Mhm.
yes,
important.
Yeah,
definitely.
we keep on hearing the same narrative, no, all in the different forums. Like it's a commitment to net zero emissions by 2050. It's a commitment for nature-based solutions. So all of these false solutions are being discussed in the many different UN forums, no. And for those of you who may find this nature-based solutions, net zero, quite familiar, it's true, we discussed that already several
In our
episodes ago.
video.
Yeah, watch our video again.
Several
What?
episodes ago we talked about this, and just to prove to everyone that this is already the mantra, no, whether
Yeah.
it's at the environment and development space, in the climate space, in the SDG space, all of these things are being consistently discussed. Yep. So let's leave Sweden. And now let's continue on with our journey. Emilia went to Brussels. So that
Yes.
sounds exciting.
It was really exciting. Well, just to say, hopefully we can put the link to our video on Fall Solutions, the first episode of the Rise Up series, so that people who may want to see it again and watching it again, please do so. And so I went to Brussels. Eurodat had its first meeting in person of their members after so many years. And it was really important because I was invited as a responder for the keynote speaker, who was Jason Hickel. And I'm a huge fan of Jason Hickel. Like, really, the guy is so brilliant. And then I got to reply. And I was really challenging the European and Northern network, saying, you have let us down in the global south. I was just saying what everybody says after our meetings. I wasn't just bringing something new. It's really to say, and it's not necessarily addressed to Eurodat, who are amazing, right? They're actually great allies to our movement. But more generally, like, we need the global north to organize and to really challenge power in their lane, right? The OECD, the G7, the G20, the EU Parliament, everything. the Australian position, Japan, the US. We need them, to be more bold, to be more radical, and otherwise they're letting us down in the South, because it doesn't matter how much they say, oh, the global South is going to save us. No, we're being pinned to the floor because there are huge powers that happen in the global North. And it's not only the concentration of wealth, because that is an issue, but also the political leaders and everybody from decision makers that are so opaque and so undemocratic, especially the EU. And nobody's questioning that internally, right? So when they get into negotiation, it's like, okay, the EU has a position, and I'm sorry, it cannot be changed. And it's like, yeah, well, you should have done your work, before coming here. And it's not just one thing just related to one negotiation. It's about building capacity and advocacy internally. But they're so caught up with their cooperation agenda and giving aid and ODA and charity. So it's really a mess. So that's what I was talking about. It was good. It was well received. Half of the people kept on quoting, well, all of the people kept on quoting what I said, but half of them were saying, yes, but what Emilia said does not apply to me. So it's like, okay, okay, but it does apply to you. But then, I don't know, but it was a good starting of my trip, because it's important that that we say very openly. This is not just my personal position. People in the global south is really tired of stepping up, of putting the bodies, putting people going to jail, and we're expecting people in the global north to really step up, to re-strategize, especially in the face of the imminence of the environmental emergency. So many things are happening. We understand they're fighting fascism in their regimes, but so are we. So it's not about, oh, we have a shrinking space for participation. It's the same with us. So we need them to reorganize, to be bold, and they will have our support and they will have our solidarity. But we really need the global north to step up. So that was actually the message of my entire trip, and I became persona non grata wherever I went because of course I was in the global north the entire time. But that's those are the costs of our environmentalist, activist, feminist, decolonial from the global south. It was tough. I'm telling you, it was tough. People just say, oh, you're so brave. It's like, no, we need you to be brave. We don't want to be brave. We're tired. It is time that you start giving the energy that you expect from us in the global south. So that was Brussels. And then we went to Berlin. No, Bonn.
Yes, we went to Bonn for the 56th intersessional. No, it's a in between COP session, so it's really a technical discussion about what governments pledged to do from Glasgow COP 26. So this is the follow up to that COP 26, and there were a lot of, it's been a busy 2 weeks in Bonn because there were a lot of sessions where the format was very confusing. There were roundtable discussions, there were breakout rooms, there were panel discussions. So it's like everywhere you go, you need to really be on your game and know about the technical details. For instance, there was a Glasgow dialogue on loss and damage finance. So we were, of course, hoping that that dialogue would lead us in the right direction towards establishing, that facility for loss and damage from climate impacts. But no, we had a lot of discussions about the landscape. What is the situation requiring financial support for losses and damages from climate impacts? And in the end, you keep hearing developing countries pushing really hard, making the case, civil society supporting them. But it's very sad because number one, it's going to be a 3-year process before leading to any meaningful political outcome.
That's
So three
disgusting.
years, 3 years of talk shops, about the urgency, the necessity, the vulnerability, blah, blah, blah.
That's crazy.
Second, it's not even on the official agenda of the COP, no? So
Yeah.
in Bonn, we were shouting, put loss and damage on the agenda because it was happening, these discussions were happening on the sidelines of official negotiations. So it doesn't have any status at all. But at least, we're kind of happy that when the outgoing UNFCCC Executive Secretary Patricia Espinosa left, she gave a parting gift. No, she
What is that?
said and communicated that loss and damage, would now be on the agenda of COP 27
Ah,
as
nice.
one of the matters around climate finance. So it's still not that high on the agenda, but at least there is already that opening that it is one of the important matters on the climate finance agenda.
No, but she did right because had she put it in the SBI, which is the body for implementation, or on the body of technical research, so that we don't use so many acronyms with people here. Had she put it there, it would have, just as a program, as a standing issue to keep
Yeah.
them being discussed with no capacities for talking about finance. So if she put it in the agenda along to finance, it means that the resolution needs to go into that direction. So there will be some operative functions related to that. So that's good. Good for Patricia's
Yeah,
future.
it's a good
She's Mexican.
parting gift. And then also on the loss and damage front, one of the things that we didn't think was going to be so controversial was this Santiago network on loss and damage. So this was supposed to be established already and operationalized by COP27. So in Bonn, they were trying to agree on the terms of reference. Something as boring as terms of reference turned out to be very political because, rich countries, the Santiago Network is supposed to be a facility, no, that would try to see what are the needs of developing countries, of communities facing the impacts of climate change, and what is the resources, capacity, and finance available to support them. So it was supposed to be another body. It's a network, no? But then what's funny is it's the rich countries who are so keen. Hello, Mati.
Nati, thank you for watching.
Hi, Marty.
I miss you as well.
Yeah, I'm sorry I'm being geeky, huh? No, but the point is, rich countries appear to be the ones very insistent on operationalizing the Santiago network right away. But now it's the developing countries who are saying, nope, we have to do it the right way. No, you don't just say like this and it's gonna be there, because rich countries just want the Santiago network to be a matchmaking facility. Like a website. These are the needs. There is some resources here. Let's match them. And yep, check. That's already the Santiago network. But developing countries are saying, nah, that doesn't work that way. We need it to be a meaningful network that would actually deliver on the support for our community. So it became really messy that towards the end they said, okay, let's just talk about this again at COP27.
Oh my God. That go back again. Maybe I didn't hear it right. What is
Hmm.
actually the Santiago network? What is it?
So the Santiago network is supposed to be the implementing arm of
Ah,
the Warsaw International Mechanism on Loss and Damage. So through it, supposedly, action and support would be delivered. But
mm.
tricky rich countries, they said, number one, it doesn't have to be, under the governance of the parties of the UN. Even the Red Cross can do that. So they don't
The
want
Red
it to be.
Cross.
Yep,
What?
that's what
No.
they're pushing for. So now they're trying to conflate
Crazy.
humanitarian
They're
assistance,
disgusting.
development assistance, and loss and damage climate finance. So that's the real
No.
tricky part. Now, trying to put together in one big basket humanitarian aid, um, development finance for poverty reduction, and climate finance as a responsibility of rich countries. No? They said, let's just put them all in one pot, and we can make do with that. And that is also what's happening in these negotiations on the new climate finance goal. So Bonn was really messy. It has given me such a huge headache because trying to participate, and they make you feel like you're part of the negotiations because of this modality of breakout room, panel, thematic discussion, blah blah blah.
But that issue of the climate finance goal, tell us more about it. I also attended one session and we've been following that from the first dialogue that was virtual. Well, some people attended that one. Please tell us more because that is so key.
Yeah. So remember all of these talks about the $100 billion climate finance pledge from Copenhagen, no? So long story short, that $100 billion hasn't been met. So rich countries said, sorry, we regret, we'll try to do better. But
Yeah, but just to
now,
say, just to clarify, it's $100
okay,
million yearly,
yearly from
yearly.
2020, yeah, by
And that
2020.
hasn't been met. The most that we have gotten is like 80%, and that was just 1 year. And the rest has been between 60 and 70, and most of it through loans,
Yep.
70% through debt.
Mm-hmm. So now parties are talking about a new collective finance goal. Hopefully by 2025, they would have agreed on this new finance goal already. So again, it's a 3-year process. And the methodology is through technical expert dialogues, TED dialogues. So in Bonn, we had the second technical expert dialogue where you had panel after panel, breakout session after breakout session. And then in the end, you hear the same bottom lines, no? Rich countries are saying, we're also experiencing climate impacts. We will try to do our best. Developing countries are saying, no, we need more money. We need easy access to finance. So yep, that was the end of the second technical expert dialogue.
But I attended the second one, and there was this panel. There were many panelists, but one of them was super interesting from the IPCC report. And he was saying, first of all, that the IPCC scenarios, he was giving the briefing like, what are we needing to consider to this new climate finance goal? And he was saying, first of all, the IPCC scenarios do not consider any economic shocks towards the future. So the scenarios are really bad, and they didn't include any economic shocks, which are bound to happen, because that is the cyclical nature of the capitalist system. The second, he said, we're also not considering any pandemic, any economic crisis whatsoever towards the future. And it's like, what? I mean, in the middle of a pandemic. And thirdly, which was the most insane thing for me, he said, and the IPCC report is not considering the existence of the financial sector towards the future. So, and that is really the most concerning thing, because it is the financial sector, the one that is pouring trillions into the fossil fuels industries. So this is really dire, and he was trying to make the case that we really need to make a macroeconomic shift that is really, grounded into earth, into what happens in the daily life of our economic system. And he didn't say it like that. I want to say it. He was talking really about addressing the global financial and economic architecture, right? It's not about just pouring money to loss and damage in terms of ODA. It's about really shifting the root causes. So I'd say we should have a session just on this. Maybe we should invite some colleagues of ours who have new ideas. I'm looking at you, Mati. We will have a conversation on that. To step out of the conversation under the UNFCCC on the new climate finance goal and really talk about what is the macroeconomic shift that we need to have. Of course, thinking about, and then how are we going to tackle real money that needs to go for real solutions, rather than shifting official development assistance to poor countries, because those come with a colonial lens on the one hand, and on the other, we've seen how climate finance is coming through that so far. So this is a very important conversation. And I see that we're 30 minutes
I
into.
We
know.
thought that we only want to give like 15 minutes for updates. Apparently it's not enough.
Hmm.
We're
We were
only
thinking
half.
about having HLPF, but I think I supposed to meet Amelia, and that were you supposed to be
Ah,
in HLPF? Yeah, right?
No, I don't have a US visa yet.
Yeah, so everyone, I was supposed to leave,
Hmm.
went to a high level political forum on the 2030 agenda, which is happening in New York in July. I already set myself, and then yes, I'm going to meet my Despise Girls, or at least Amelia, and then have the everything that we're thinking, and then what happened is that I got COVID, and then yeah, this kind of ruined everything. But I just want to have like a little bit discussion on that on the high level political forum. I mean, like what I heard, like what you said, that we heard the same thing over and over again, and I think that is also true in HLPF, right? We heard about net zero, we heard about nature based solution, we have like this ecosystem approach solution, all of those that is coming in, and then really there's no sense of urgency at all in relation with tackling the issue and the crisis that we are having right now, right? So what I'm actually really, like, a lot of the people in and then also bodies, especially the UN, also already said that we will not achieve SDG at all in 2030. And I think that we really need to be really, honest about it. Be honest about it. Just say it. It's not going to happen. UNESCO said that with the progress that we have now in Asia and the Pacific region, we can only achieve SDG by 2065, right? And then they said even that, that measurement that they have, like from the research and everything, is actually based from the only 47 percent of indicators, right, of all the
Wow.
indicators that we have,
Yeah,
right?
that
Right. So
sounded
can you
odd. Yeah.
imagine, right? Like it means if we are counting the 53% that is missing, actually it can go to the 22nd century, maybe we're going to have, right? So people, just be honest that we are not going to have this. And I think that we need to use SDG, processes, not to only what do you call it, tracking, and then monitoring the progress, but also to see what is actually the problem and then tackle that, right? And then that's why there's no sense of urgency on the debt crisis, no sense of urgency in tackling issue of militarism, issue of, peace. There's nothing like that at all. So
Oh,
yeah,
Pepe!
tell me what's going on.
No, I'm so grateful that you say it because, again, and I'm gonna say it, uh, we need people in the global north to be just very straightforward on board. If they're just looking after their backs, then you're doing a disservice, even for the communities you're trying to bring their voices into. So it's really disappointing because even civil society was reluctant to say, oh, we're not going to meet the SDGs. And that is really, if they're not going to say it, then what's the point of them being there, right? So it's really disappointing. Just for to remind people, HLPF is the high level political forum that is the space in the UN that monitors the advancement of the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals. And so this it meets yearly, and it's supposed to be the space where we monitor the follow up and implementation of the SDGs. So this is the place where we need to say we're not meeting the SDGs. And people are so terrified of not saying that it's like, like a place of all of us being blinded to the reality. But to me, it's like, this is what needs to be said, because then we need to push harder. It's also an evaluation for us. So it just, I'm so fed up of these northern people. Is no, we're really just so fed up. They just want to keep their appearances and their their political relations. But even saying a basic thing, as Rina was saying, that even the Secretary General is saying, it's not like, okay, we're gonna say the most revolutionary thing. I'm gonna become a communist by saying this. It's like even the Secretary General is saying it. So it's just, oh, I'm so disappointed.
I think it's time that civil society stops acting and feeling like it's a diplomat, We should reclaim our role as civil society, as part of social movements wanting
Yeah,
to have real changes, and not just, a 2-minute shot at addressing member states in these UN meetings.
I have a lot of gossips, but not for the audience to hear because
Oh, after
I
this.
have names. But send me an email if you want to know the names. Uh, no, but I was also thinking that we missed the the G7 rally, and Teter and I were there. And I think we have a video. I hope we have a video. So tell us all about it.
So in Munich, there was the meeting of the G7, the biggest economies in the world. So they met at this super exclusive castle, which was so far away. There was no civil society involved in that meeting. So what we did was we joined the people's protest, no, the anti G7 mobilization in Munich, where Emilia was the rock star wearing a pink tutu and telling everyone that the global north has to wake up and organize and mobilize. And Adriana said we do have the video. Maybe we
Oh
can
yeah,
show it, no?
yes, because that.
Down! If we don't get it, shut it down! Thank you, everybody. I'm Emilia Reyes. This is my colleague, my sister Teta from the Philippines. I'm coming from Mexico. And we want to tell you that we're very happy to be here in Munich with all of you in solidarity, protesting against the G7. But we also have very bad news for you. We know that after the IPCC report panel was released, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change was released some months ago. We were told that we only have 3 years to change the system. It's not 8 years, it's not until 2050, it's only 3 years. And a month ago, we had a release of scientific papers saying that all of them combined, even if we stop climate change today, the environmental degradation is so bad that we may be facing the human extinction in 2040. So it's not about 100 years, it's not about the future, it is now. And we want to tell you from the Global South that we are asking for your help. The Global South cannot keep putting the bodies, cannot keep on sending our people into the jails. It is your responsibility. The Global South alone cannot change the system. You need to mobilize. This is the first day of a 3 years mobilization for you to hold your governments accountable. You are citizens, and we hope that you become stronger in alliances with your social movements, with the feminist movement, with indigenous peoples, to make a system change. So this doesn't end now. Hopefully, this is the first day of 3 year strategy to really change the system. And we want a system that is feminist, with an economy that upholds human rights, and we, most of all, also want to degrow the rich. And that starts also at home with your consumption and production patterns. We cannot keep on seeing the environmental destruction in our territories because your lifestyle keep on demanding the environmental degradation in our water, in our lands, and especially the lives of our indigenous peoples. So we are asking you to mobilize, to strategize, to get yourselves together, and to think about collective action. And I have my colleague Teter here, who will inspire us for that collective action.
Oh my God!
Where are you from?
Oh my God! It's very strong. Great. How many were there in the action? Oh, was it like an action? What is that? Why you have stage? Tell me.
That was the rally. That was the rally.
Okay.
We marched. There's an estimate of 6,000 people marching in the rally. So we started in that point. We went to march around the city, and when we came back, and it was hilarious that when we were marching, because Gina from Colombia in the, from the Women and Gender Constituency, she was there. We had colleagues, German colleagues, and people who traveled there. And Gina was carrying this huge loudspeaker, and we were singing and dancing, and the German people marching, they were like, "Why are you so loud? Get out of here. We're gonna call the police on you." And we were like, "We're protesting in the street." We're singing and chanting, what do we want? Climate justice. And they were so upset. And they were like, "No, this is a quiet protest. We want to hear the music." And there were some bicycles that were playing, elevator music with, a sound equipment. So it was so weird because we were like, no, we're marching, and she was like, no, get out of here, we're gonna call the police on you. And we were like, that is the insane level of people, who say, oh, I'm going in a protest against the G7, and then once you start real chanting and mobilizing and bringing people on board, they were like, get out of here.
Oh my God, that's
You're too noisy.
oh my God, oh my God, that's so they want to hear music. They want a festival, right? They just want to the festive, rather than just real mobilization. That's crazy.
Elevator music. It wasn't even, protest music. It was insane. I don't know if we have Tetet singing, because then Tetet went up and sang to the masses, and she made everybody sing. So that was really nice. I hope we have it. Otherwise, we need to
And
get
we
it.
were the only ones who kept to the 5-minute rule. Now,
Yes.
supposedly, everyone going up the stage would have only 5 minutes, but we were the only ones who kept to that rule. Everyone had very long speeches, but then the organizer said, you know what? Everyone will remember what you did because it was so different, no? It was something that was new for the global north to see, two global south women singing and chanting. That was
Yes.
crazy.
That came with her Aretha Franklin voice. Hey, 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 hey.
I wish
So
I
it was
can time
great.
travel and put myself there, with
Yes,
two of
we
you.
need to Photoshop you. But we have 20 minutes and we need to use 10
Oh
minutes
yeah.
because we have another great event that happened during this time, which is the launch of our new Despise Girls video, the Rise Up series. And in this time, episode 2 talks about the macroeconomic dimension of care, of unpaid domestic and care work. So we do want to share it with all of you. The video is 10 minutes. So I think we should just watch it and then come back and react.
Look! Up in the sky! It's a bird!
It's a plane!
It's a drone! No! It's the empowered almighty women! Super women!
She's my mom!
See you!
What? Where do you think you are going?
Hey!
They are superheroes! Cool!
They are not superheroes! Boo! They were born to provide care and do the chores. It's only their natural role.
Let's go. What's going on? The superwomen are falling down. Oh, they are under attack. This must be the work of...
Everyone, of you, of him, of them, of everybody.
Me? There's gotta be something wrong.
That's it. We are done. We can no longer bear the burden of sustaining life. The impacts of climate change escalate our unpaid domestic and care workload.
Women of the least developed countries and the small islands bear the brunt of all of the crisis combined.
No woman in the world can bear this situation any longer.
Greedy sector, we have a problem. The superwomen are complaining about their obligations. They realize now that the notion of empowerment is just an excuse to exploit them even more.
Let's get rid of them.
No, don't be a fool. Nobody will do what they do. Your multinational corporation should help them. Don't worry, girls. My friend and I will save you.
A nice surprise is on your way. Now, girls, say hello, mommy.
You will also take home the exclusive Chef Rordon Gamsey's cookbook. And to enhance your displays of affection, what about these workshops?
I got this. Let's pay men to help a tiny bit with parenting.
So you can finally get rid of those rags and become fine ladies. The Empowerment Suit.
These are not solutions.
What you call a rag is a symbol from Pacific activists to the world. We're saying with pride that it's us, you, women and gender diverse people who sustain and defend the commons. We're not fictional characters. Women are the real Wonder Women. The capes are symbols of work for justice, rebalancing of ecology, of autonomy, and of freedom.
What? I've read all about the wealth of nations. I am a follower of Adam Smith. Hashtag father of economics. Ouch, no.
How is the division of labor thingy going?
Oh, wonderfully! I have come to the conclusion that in the overall economy, value is the result of labor. Europeans, for instance.
Are you going to include my work and that of women?
Of course not! My dissertation is centered on those who produce the pins. That is to say, productive men.
Oh, what about us?
Oh, sweetie pie, you women do not even work. So you do not generate any value.
What do you mean I don't work? I buy groceries. I cook your dinner, lunch, breakfast, and even your snacks. So you can dedicate all of your time to play around with your invisible hand.
My mommy pampers me. Oh, get out of here, Mom! You're just wasting my time! We intelligent, autonomous, and grown-up men need to continue working for economic growth.
Grown-ups? Autonomous? You cannot even boil an egg.
Preposterous!
Yes, Adam Smith was great in that.
Adam Smith? He only considered that productive work was only this tiny segment representing work mainly done by men. And it is so fragile, it is held only by the tip of a pen. Because the real support comes from the unpaid work done by women. The work and its multiple crises are sustained by the extraction of women's labor and time, especially of those women facing multiple discriminations. This is why, super government, you have to recognize all of the work done by us.
What do you think you are? Man with rights? Let's get rid of them!
Women do this for love. They were born to take care of us. Empowerment!
Those are fairy tales. Cleaning the house and looking after of all the family members is not love. It is work.
So, my mommy doesn't love me?
Stop exploiting your mom.
It is not all women. These are ideas of a few haters, right?
Haters!
A few
Where's my very thing? Will women succeed in convincing super government of the importance of redistributing work and changing their current situation?
All the women in the world, join us in the global fight. Can domestic labor rise? Care systems in the rise.
Super government, you are the guardian of the care policies. It is your duty to ensure women's rights.
There is no women's empowerment without women's human rights.
Care should not be confined to the family realm.
The value of care is not to be extracted for the profit of the private sector. We want social protection laws and universal care systems. Representation and recognition of domestic and care workers. Just transition of the labor force with a gender perspective. Invest in access to quality care services for all.
Progressive taxation is the way to go.
Financial institutions should be accountable for redistribution.
Transform public space for care redistribution. Care demand involvement of all sectors.
Care is macro.
Care is global.
Care is in crisis because of all of the other crises.
Domestic and care work sustain life and must be recognized as work. It must be fairly distributed in society. Collective action and mobilizing are the real superpowers. And while we're on it, hooray for the mighty, mighty feminists!
Yay!
That was great. Congratulations.
I love it. It's so nice. And there are so many things we need to say about this video. But as a gift from the campaign of campaigns to our audience today, we also have two other small snippets of videos that we're producing to share with people. So let's first see the first gift, Adriana.
All the women in the world, join us in the global fight. Can domestic labor rights, care systems in the rise. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Oh my God, I want that we need to learn, Amelia. We need to learn how to sing like that, yeah.
I know. It's so bluesy, you know. Hey, 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 hey.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. But that gives us an idea. We can the lyrics will evolve, no, for the next videos,
Yeah,
depending on the
exactly.
topic, depending on the theme.
Yes. This was Shirley Taggy, everyone. She's an activist from the Pacific Islands, and she just inspires us all wherever she goes. And she has a gift, evidently, and she gave it all for this video, and we're super grateful. And just wanted to say, I hope we can stay a couple of minutes after the sharp ending. She the video is trying to highlight not only the economic burden of women around the world, but really that in the sum of all of the crisis, what is the important contribution of women from the small islands and developing states and the least developed countries, because they're getting all of the burden of all of the crisis combined, and that adds to our decolonial analysis, right? So the video is including the participation of many of our activist colleagues from the Pacific Islands, but also activist women in real grassroots communities doing their regular activities in fishing, agriculture, fixing rural buildings, the cottages, and so they're so amazing, and we really wanted to pay homage to them in this video. And they all came and they were sending us their lines through their cell phones, barely having access to networks. And the Diva team also helped us gather a lot of the participation of all of these women. And we had in the launch Nalini Singh, who's also an amazing leader from the Pacific, as well as Noeline Navilovu. So it was a very powerful launch. We did it during HLPF, just a pre-launch, and we're thinking also on organizing a launch for the Pacific time in maybe in a month. But we really wanted to start sharing this video. It's gonna be the link in YouTube. We're gonna be sharing it around. It's for free for you to download, to use, to share, and to spark the conversation of these macroeconomic dimension. As the Despise Girls were saying, care is not micro, it's macro. So it requires macro solutions.
Amazing. We're at a loss for words. No, it's so powerful. And I think it's really good that we are also able to bring in the Pacific voices in many of these spaces, no?
That's true. And then so yeah, let's wait until they're launching together with our Pacific sisters in the next 1 month time. And then for us, when is our next Despise Girls?
In 15 days, please. I cannot bear any longer that we're just
I
postponing
know.
it. No, let's do a regular fortnight wait, and I'll see you in 15 days, in 2 weeks.
All right,
Thank you,
everyone. Thank you so much,
everybody.
everyone.